Welcome to Math with Mrs. Bibb. Today we will be discussing equations of linear functions. First we'll fill in the blanks for standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a is greater than or equal to 0, which means A is positive. Be sure to write that down. A and B are not both 0, so that means one of them can be 0. And A, B, and C are integers with a greatest common factor of 1. That's what standard form is. I want to rewrite y equals 2/3 x plus 14 in standard form and identify A, B, and C. So remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c. I'm going to start off by subtracting 2/3 x. I'll have negative 2/3 x plus y equals 14. The next thing I'm going to do is get rid of this fraction. So I'm going to multiply everything by negative 3. And that will get rid of that fraction there. Negative 3 and negative 2/3 when I multiply. I want to explain why I'm multiplying by negative 3. A has to be greater than or equal to 0, which means it has to be positive. It is currently negative, so if I multiply a negative times a negative, it will become a positive. So negative 3 times negative 2/3 would be positive 6/3, which is positive 2x. So I multiplied these two. Negative 3 times y is negative 3y, and negative 3 times 14 is negative 42. Let's look at these coefficients and the constant on the right. Do they have a greatest common factor of 1? 2, negative 3, and negative 42. Is their greatest common factor 1? Yes, it is. So this is my standard form, and I know A equals 2, B equals negative 3, and C equals negative 42. And that's my two answers for that problem. Slope-intercept form. Hopefully you remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. And remember, we think about slope as rise over run. And b is the y-intercept. Also could be written as 0b. Next, we're going to write 12x minus 4y equals 24 in slope-intercept form and identify the slope and the y-intercept. So when I'm putting it in slope-intercept form, that means I want to get y alone. I'm going to start by subtracting 12x to get y alone. Negative 4y will equal, I'm going to put negative 12x first, plus 24. Then I'm going to divide by negative 4 to get that y alone. I'm going to divide each term of this equation by negative 4. So y is going to equal positive 3x minus 6. Now I am in slope-intercept form. The slope is 3. The y-intercept is negative 6. For this next example, we're going to fill in the blanks. It says the equation 3,246x minus 2y equals negative 152,722 can be used to estimate the shoe sales in Europe from 2010 to 2015, where X is the number of years after 2010 and Y is the revenue in millions of dollars. It says interpret the parameters in the context of the situation. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite that in slope-intercept form. I'm going to subtract 3,246x. So negative 2y is going to equal negative 3,246x minus 152,722. I'm going to divide by negative 2. So y is going to equal 1,623x plus 76,361. My slope is 1,623 and my y-intercept is 76,361. 1,623 over 1, rise over run, where rise is your y and run is your x. The y here is the revenue in millions of dollars, and the x is the years since 2010. And we're going to say each year for this one. So 1,623 is I don't want to write it like that. Sorry, and I'm not going to delete all that. I'm just going to erase. And go back. So 1,623 million each year is the revenue. And in 2010, which is the starting year, in 2010, sales were $76,361 million. That's what the y-intercept stands for. For the next example, in 2013, there were 1.31 billion smartphone users. Worldwide. By 2017, there were 2.38 billion smartphone users. Write and use an equation to estimate the number of users in 2025. Okay, we are going to define our variables. So x is going to be the number of years after 2013. And y is going to be the number of billions of smartphone users. So 2013 is our beginning year, so that's year 0. In 2013, there were 1.31 billion smartphone users. And then in 2017, which 2013 is year 0, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. So it would be the fourth year after 2013, there were 2.38 billions of smartphone users. And we're going to use that to find the slope. Remember, slope is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So 2.38 minus 1.31 divided by 4 minus 0. So 2.38 minus 1.31, is that 1.07? Yes. 1.07 divided by 4 minus 0 is 4. I'm going to divide that by 4. And I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth. So I get 0.27. So there, that tells me that the number of users of smartphones is increasing at a rate of 0.27 billion per year. So I'm going to go ahead and write that sentence. Smartphone users, so your slope is your increase, are increasing by 0.27 users, billions of users, I should say, each year. Then to find my y-intercept, I know the y-intercept because x is 0, so the beginning amount of users, beginning amount of smartphone users in 2013 was 1.31 billion. Now, I still haven't answered my question. I'm so sorry I'm writing so much. I hope you can squeeze that all in that little space. And now we're going to write an equation. So y equals mx plus b. So my slope was 0.27x plus b, so plus 1.31. And I want to find or estimate the number of users in 2025, which 2025 would be 12 years after 2013. So that means I'm going to put 12 in for x. I'm going to write that so you'll have that. 12 years after 2013. So I'm going to multiply 0.27 times 12, and that's 3.24. Then I'm going to add 1.31 to that. So in 2025, there were approximately 4.55 billions of smartphone users. Point slope form. Point slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1, where m is the slope and x sub 1, comma y sub 1 are coordinates of a point on the line. We're going to write an equation that passes through 1, 1 and 7, 13. So we're going to use point slope form for that. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We will use this as our coordinate x1, y1, but we need the slope. The slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Our x2 is the 13. Our y2 is the 13. Our x2 is the 7. So y2 minus y1, 13 minus 1, divided by x2 minus x1, 7 minus 1. So that would be 12 divided by 6. So our slope is 2. So we're going to use a slope of 2 and use this ordered pair 1, 1. All right, so let's fill in. Y minus y1 is 1 equals m times x minus x1. And then you distribute. Y minus 1 equals 2x minus 2, and then add 1. Even though it did not say write your equation in slope-intercept form, we can assume that that's the form that we want to write it in, slope-intercept form. For this example, we're talking about the Tower of Pisa, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It began tilting during its construction in 1178 and continued to move until a restoration effort reduced the lean and stabilized the structure. The Tower of Pisa leaned 5.4 meters in 1993 compared to a lean of just 1.4 meters in 1350. Write an equation in point slope form that represents the lean y in meters of the Tower of Pisa X years after its construction in 1178. So we have to remember that X is the number of years after construction in 1178. So let's write our two ordered pairs that we have. We have a couple pieces of information. We have that it leaned 5.4 meters in 1993 compared to 1.4 meters in 1350. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to look at these X values, 1993 and 1350. We want to figure out what will go here and what will go here. We have to subtract 1993 from 1178, and we also have to subtract 1350 from 1178. And those values would be 172 for the 1350, so I'm going to put that one here. 1350 minus 1178 is 172. 172 years after 1178, 1.4 meters was my lean there. And then 1993 minus 1178 is 815 years, and that lean is 5.4 meters. So we're going to find our slope. Our slope is y2 minus y1, and x2 minus x1. Both of these will be negative values, but I will come out with a positive answer because a negative divided by a negative will be a positive. And that answer will actually round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to subtract 1.4 and 3.4. I believe that's -3. -4. Oopsie. Good thing I looked that up. And then 172 minus 815 is -643. Then we're going to divide -4 by -643. And you get 0.0062 when you divide that. So my slope is going to be -0.006. So we're going to write an equation in point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where my y1 is 5.4, my x1 is 815, and you could consider your other point your y1, your x1. So we're not necessarily incorrect if you choose the other one. And then our slope is -0.006. So my answer is going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And it said write the equation in point slope form, and this is point slope form. Our tendency is to want to distribute and get rid of those parentheses, but it did say write it in point slope form, so that would be our answer. This last one, it says in 2011, the Miami Marlins had about 11,000 followers on a social media site. In 2016, they had about 240,000 followers. Which equation represents the number of followers Y the Miami Marlins had X years after they joined the site in 2009? And remember, it's X years since 2009. So let's make our first ordered pair. 2011 is 2 years from 2009, and that would be 11,000 followers. And 2016 is 7 years since 2009, so 240,000 followers. So the first thing we need to find is our slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I'll have 5 in the denominator. In the numerator, I will have 229,000. I'm going to divide that by 5. So the slope would be 45,800, which we could tell that because, oh no, we can't. This one is saying the slope is 11,000, so it's not B. And then these three are saying that the slope is 45,800. Whoops, look, one extra 0. And so it's either A, C, or D. Now let's figure out y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So which choice? It looks like A is the correct answer because it matches this right here. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you have a wonderful day,